Hello everyone. Today we are going to talk about a drama thriller film called Glass Onion from 2022. The movie begins with several characters receiving the same mysterious packages from Miles, a billionaire tech mogul and philanthropist. Among them, a scientist, a former model and fashion designer, a female governor, and a YouTube vlogger. The diverse group is united by a friendship with an eccentric rich man. Once they get on the phone, they try to solve puzzles neatly woven into a seemingly solid wooden box. Not without the help of outsiders, the intellectual elites of society solve one puzzle after another to eventually find a note with an invitation to come to a private Greek island and solve another, the mystery of Miles's own murder. At this time, when everyone is happily gathering for a party, another heroine, being in the garage, looks at the ill-fated box, not knowing what to do with it. She simply smashes it with a hammer, thus getting to the contents. The action switches to the main character, a private detective named Blanc. He is lying in the bathroom, smoking a cigarette and waiting for further action. The detective receives a mysterious box and decides to take part in the case. Blanc is waiting on the pier for the other participants. The guests gradually arrive. They know each other, but communicating with a detective is new to them. Soon an assistant appears. Miles's assistant appears and injects the guests with a special antivirus so that no one gets sick. The guests are ready to go on a luxurious vacation when the last Andy Brand is the last guest to arrive. The assembled guests do not like her. In the past, she used to be Miles's business partner, but after a recent falling out, they broke up, and many are surprised that his ex-wife accepted the invitation. The guests are greeted by the host himself, a billionaire with symptoms of eccentricity. He greets everyone except Blanc, who stands off to the side. Miles gives them a tour, showing them the mansion, which is topped by a huge glass bulb, of which the house itself is a part, called the glass bulb. After settling into their rooms, Miles invites Blanc to a private conversation. In the room in the middle of the glass bulb, the billionaire asks how the detective got on the guest list, since he did not send him an invitation. The protagonist asks if, after solving the puzzle, someone could have returned the box to its original state and sent it to someone else. Miles, agreeing with this version, allows the detective to join the vacation. Later, in the pool, the guests notice that blogger Duke wears a gun in a holster on his swimming trunks, even while swimming. The others discuss their business, and Blanc wanders around, gradually learning various facts about the gathered guests. He is told about the career of a former model, who has now become a fashion designer, and whom progressive society wants to cancel because of her scandalous statements. During the conversation, Miles confesses to Blanc that all the guests are troublemakers who move society in various fields of activity. This confession is interrupted by Andy, who denounces the gathering, noting that each of them was saved by Miles's wealth when their careers were on the verge of collapse, and now they are afraid of losing his favor. Walking around the island, the detective overhears conversations. The fashion designer's assistant asks the billionaire not to force Birdie to give a speech, because it could ruin the career of not only the owner but also her employee. Blogger Duke spies on his girlfriend cheating on him with Miles, and Blanc watches Duke himself. In the evening, the guests gather for dinner. Miles gives everyone a glass of their favorite alcohol. Blanc receives a gift of hot sauce specially brought from an exotic country. Among other decorations in the room is the original Leonardo da Vinci's Mona Lisa, which the billionaire borrowed for a week from the French government in exchange for financial assistance. He needs the painting to demonstrate his prestige. Next week, Miles is planning the world premiere of a new cheap fuel synthesized from seawater. However, scientists criticize this fuel because it has not yet been tested and may be unstable. All electrical appliances on the island are powered by the new fuel. During dinner, Miles announces a role-playing game in which he is supposedly going to be murdered, and the guests have to investigate the crime, point out the killer, and the motive. But in just a few minutes, Blanc ruins the whole idea by revealing the crime that a specially hired detective writer was working on. The detective explains that he deliberately killed the intrigue because he is afraid that one of the guests might actually want to kill Miles, given their complicated relationship. As the guests gather for dinner, they discuss Andy and the fact that they are all financially dependent on Miles. Andy is the only one who dares to contradict him, which leads to a fight. Duke, offended, calls her a loser, after which the girl angrily leaves. When she returns, Miles says that some of the guests want to leave in the morning, but he convinces them to stay. Duke receives a message on his phone that makes him happy. He shows it to Miles, and the owner excitedly announces to everyone that the detective suspects that he is being targeted for murder. He raises a toast to his friends, and everyone drinks, but Duke begins to choke and falls dead. The detective tries to help him, but to no avail. Realizing that the house is now a crime scene, Blanc asks to contact the police, and they reply that they will arrive in the morning. The detective then asks the people present to go to their rooms and stay locked in. They almost go to their rooms, but Miles notices that the glass from which Duke drank is signed with Miles's name, which means that he was the real target of the killer. The owner asks the detective to save him, fearing that any of his former friends might want him dead. Blank looks for the blogger's phone, but it is nowhere to be found. In addition, the guests notice that the gun, which Duke never parted with even in the pool, is missing from his holster. Miles begins to get nervous, fearing that he will be shot, especially since at 10 p.m., according to the game schedule, the lights go out across the island. In the darkness, lit only by the lighthouse, the guests panic and run away. Miles sneaks through the corridors for fear of meeting his enemies. Blanc notices a woman who asks who took the gun. While they are talking, the hand of the mysterious killer with the gun is pointed at them. A shot is fired, and Andy Brand falls. Brand leans over his bloody body, unable to hold back his tears. Others gather around. The detective asks them to go inside to begin the investigation. This is where the flashback begins. A girl named Helen knocks on Blank's door. She's holding a box, one of the ones Miles sent out, and it's broken to pieces. Helen is Andy's twin sister, who died a few days ago. Her body was found in a car in a garage. Investigators suspect suicide, but the sister does not believe in this version. After searching her relative's house, she finds out that before she died, she sent an email to all her friends with a photo of a red envelope. Helen suspects that one of them killed her sister to hide the truth she was about to reveal. Blank convinces Helen to go to the island at Andy's invitation, which she received shortly before her death, impersonating her sister until her death became public knowledge. This approach will help to puzzle the real killer and bring him to light. Blank himself also goes with her, pretending to have received the box with the invitation. They fly to Greece the day before the visit. Helen, dressed in her sister's clothes and with a matching hairstyle, tells the detective the information she has obtained from Andy's personal diaries. Andy was the one who introduced everyone to Miles, who helped them succeed. Andy drew a diagram of a new type of fuel on a napkin. Miles devoted all the company's resources to developing this project, but the girl opposed it, believing that the new fuel was unstable and explosive. Andy left the company in an attempt to sue her half, but since she didn't keep the original napkin, Miles convinced others to testify in court that he was the author of the scheme. A few years after these events, Andy finds the original blueprint, puts it in a red envelope, and sends a threatening photo to everyone involved. The next day, the conspirators arrive on the island. Helen, posing as Andy, wanders around the neighborhood, talking to others, eavesdropping on conversations, and trying to figure out who had the motive and opportunity to kill her sister. She finds out that the guests have their own troubles in their careers and difficulties in their relationships with each other. When she tells the detective about this, Blanc asks Helen to make a fight after dinner and leave in a huff to search the guests' rooms for possible evidence, including an envelope with a napkin to show Miles. This is exactly what she does while the tragedy with the blogger Duke unfolds in the hall. At this time, she receives a message on her phone. The news of her sister's death has leaked to the media, and the whole internet is talking about it. If this becomes known on the island, her legend will be revealed. Helen meets Blank when the power goes out to tell him that she hasn't found anything, but then she is shot. However, the bullet hits her sister's diary in her inside pocket. Blank gives her the sauce Miles gave her to fake blood and rubs her eyes to make them look like they've been crying. While she's pretending to be a corpse, a drop of sauce gets in her nose, nearly derailing her new legend. While the detective distracts the gathered guests, no one notices Helen sneaking into the last room they didn't have time to search. She finds the same envelope hidden right in the nostalgic installation with a memorable photo from the old bar. At this point, Blanc accuses Miles of being a skilled organizer, but not the genius he is thought to be. In fact, he is quite stupid, and his only talent is stealing other people's ideas and using them for his own benefit. Blanc goes on to say that the owner himself gave Duke his glass, and then claimed that he took it by mistake. The motive for the murder was that Duke saw the billionaire driving away from Andy on the day of her death, when they all gathered outside her house but did not find her home. At the climax, Helen, whom everyone assumes to be the murdered Andy, comes down the stairs carrying an envelope with the original napkin. Blanc explains that the billionaire poisoned the girl because of the threat of losing the company, and when Duke found out about Andy's death, he put all the facts together and began blackmailing Miles, for which he paid with his life. The billionaire poured pineapple juice into the glass, to which the blogger is highly allergic. As evidence, the detective uses a napkin from the bar, which, unlike Miles's fake, has a brand name on it. However, the billionaire was not confused and simply set the evidence on fire. Without physical evidence, Blanc cannot help Helen in court, as the testimony of the guests will clearly not be on her side, as they will all continue to cover up for the owner for their own prosperity. Helen starts breaking glass jewelry and bottles of alcohol while the others look on. Eventually, they join in the pogrom, expressing their dissatisfaction. But Helen's real goal isn't just to vent her anger. She sets fire to the alcohol, starting a fire. When the fire extinguishing system is activated, she throws a small piece of fuel into it. The sudden release of a huge amount of energy leads to explosions in the ventilation system, and the hall catches fire. But that's not enough for Helen. Her eyes fall on the original Mona Lisa, protected by armored glass. The girl rushes to it. They try to stop her, but they don't have time. The heroine presses a button, raising the protective glass. Miles's desire to contemplate an artistic masterpiece leads to the fact that the flames consume the work of Leonardo da Vinci. Later, sitting on the stairs by the sea, Helen explains that no one in the world would want to deal with Miles's fuel, which, due to its instability, destroyed a masterpiece of world culture. And he himself will now be remembered forever as the man who destroyed one of the greatest works of art. Realizing that he is now useless, the friends agree to tell the truth in court. Helen, who has taken her revenge, goes down to meet the Coast Guard. They have completed their mission. Justice has been done, and now they can go home.
If you have watched the video so far, you should know that I am happy to have viewers like you. Thank you for watching to the end. Subscribe to the channel and follow the news. Klonsak Recapped was with you. See you soon.